So a lot of people are talking, giving Cristiano Ronaldo hate because he's come out and said that the Saudi league is better than the MLS. They're saying he needs to get over it. Messi's won. It's the World Cup, whatever. He's just chilling at 35. He don't care. The thing is Ronaldo's logic is right, because since he's gone there, a lot of players have gone there. Now, yes, money talks, but players... I've never seen an influx of players going like this. China was, at the time, big. It weren't like this. Russia had a spell. It weren't like this. Well, Russia got a couple of superstars in that weren't too old, but they didn't get loads. The league had a bit of a head start because the Russian league was quite strongish anyway. Got some traditional big clubs. The Chinese league, it's just settled back into being all right. There's a few good players there. It's a better standard league, but they stopped the superstar approach. Now, the thing with Saudi, they've made some better acquisitions because they've got a few superstars that are older. They've also got a few good prime player ages and a few good players from the second bracket of Europe's elite. That's what you need to do. You can't just buy old Asian superstars. So I can see where Ronaldo's coming from. The MLS is still better. It's a better standard just because it's been doing it for longer. But he has to say that. He's not going to turn around and say the MLS is better. Do you really think he believed it? He's not going to turn around and say the MLS is better. He plays in Saudi. That would be silly. He has to believe it. But what he said about it potentially coming the top league in the next 5 years, he thought it would, but now he thinks within one. Depends how you define a top league. Be entertaining and have a lot of good players, so might draw in a big crowd. Suddenly then it's a top league. Will its teams start competing in their equivalent of the Champions League? Probably. Will they harm European teams in the Club World Cup? Probably not. So that just depends on how you define a top league and top teams, but I can see where he's coming from. It's probably not better than the MLS yet, but it's on the way. And to be honest, the MLS has no relegation and playoffs. Already it's a better format because it's normal format. It's a normal football format. Champion, relegation, cup competitions. So in that sense, he's not wrong. And they're signing well. You know, they signed Rekic. He's good. Young. Jota from Celtic is a good player. Obviously, Ruben Neves. They're being smart. They're not just going for all old superstars. Mahrez would be a big signing if they can get him. Apparently he's keen. He's still only 30. He's got a few years left at the top if he wants. So yeah, Alan Saint-Maximin probably on his way. Apparently they're struggling. They've made an opening offer to Newcastle. I think it's Al Hilal, which Newcastle have rejected, but they're confident of finding a deal. Not being funny, but so they should. They're both owned by the same people. I mean, it's like that first bid smokescreen to make it look like proper negotiations. Because I'm not being funny. If I wanted to buy something off myself, but knew it was going to be in the public eye, I'd probably have to make it look a bit drawn out. That's definitely going to happen, and that could be a thing. Newcastle selling a lot of players they need to get rid of to Saudi to balance the books so that they can spend more on the FFP. Although it's worked for a few other clubs at the minute anyway, like Chelsea. Only Chelsea. So yeah, we'll see if that happens. It's not to sign Kvaratskhelia from Napoli. Apparently they've bid 88 mil for him. Can't see him leaving Napoli the year after they've become champions, same as Osimhen. Their two main attackers. It'll be Harvey Barnes. They want to move out Saint-Maximin so they can get in Harvey Barnes. And that's something you can see happening. Definitely. Tottenham were credited with an interest, but they just seem to have too many wingers. So don't see how they fit Harvey Barnes. Unless Kane goes, Richarlison becomes a striker, and they still have Son, Kulusevski, signed Mano Solomon from Fulham. They need wingers. Is Brian Gill on loan? Someone let me know. I will look it up after anyway. So I'd keep Brian Gill. I don't know. They don't need wingers. That will probably change if they get rid of Harry Kane anyway and need a striker. I think Harvey Barnes will be going to Newcastle. Saint-Maximin will go to Saudi. Barnes will go to Newcastle. And then in the future, it's a worry, is if a lot of these players go to Saudi in prime age, do well, could it be a way for Newcastle to buy him? what if Wolves, I mean, they probably would have took the money, realised they're not competing with him. But imagine Wolves wouldn't sell Ruben Neves to Newcastle. He's only 26. So the Saudis gone, go play in Saudi for a year or two, boost our profile, get paid a fat wage, then we'll buy you for Newcastle when we're established in the Champions League. I know they're in the Champions League anyway. They bought Tonali. Things like that. I mean, I'm using Neves as an example. Things like that could also happen in the future a lot. So, be interesting to see how it plays out. Again, I'll reiterate, we shouldn't worry for European football because we'll always have traditional big clubs, we'll always produce lots of players, we'll always have our tournaments in the Champions League, and it'll always still be football. And again with the Saudi League as well, if it ends up big and you don't have to watch it, but the access will be there to watch it, because I wonder how all the people who don't live in England feel about all the superstars that play in the Prem. Simple as that. So it's all interesting. They're after some Liverpool players. Fabinho seems done. He's not gone on the pre-season tour. 40 million, which, I mean, ideally didn't want to lose him, but 40 million, basically what they paid for him 5 years ago. So he's played well, won everything. You can't really reject it. Henderson seems off because they can't agree a fee, but it's not dead in the water because he has agreed a contract. Apparently they're in for Luis Diaz. Liverpool ain't going to sell Luis Diaz. He's only been there a year and a half. Basically a year of it out injured. And they want to offer less than what they paid. Liverpool paid 50 mil for him. They want to offer 43. That makes sense. Be interesting to see if they went for Harry Maguire, to be honest. Although I can see him wanting to stay in Europe, just like to test the water, put money in. So yeah, I'm wondering who's going to be next over there. And I'm wondering how the MLS will react. Obviously, they've reacted by getting Messi and Busquets, and a couple others will go there. But in general, do they need to start thinking of changing their format? I mean, I know they want to be like the other American sports. Americans don't really get entertained by a normal season and relegation. But maybe it should line itself up with the rest of the football world and have like relegation and promotion. They won't. Maybe they should. Guessing America's too big. So yeah, that's another thing I've thought about. But I mean, European football, we've been lucky for pretty much ever. We've always had the best players, dominated, been able to watch them. I know, like before, international travel was a mega thing. Brazil always had a good league 'cause it's such a big country. Their teams competed in the World Cup and whatnot. But in general, it's been Europe. I mean, that's just because the players we produce and the money in Europe. Saudi's not going to start producing the players yet, but them Gulf states have money, and football's the most popular sport in the world. Of course, they're going to start building up their leagues. Part of becoming modern, but at the same time, we can't be selfish and have it all. We'll still, like I've said plenty of times, have our own. But why should Europe rule football, to be honest? If anything, to make it more entertaining, imagine a Club World Cup where, you know, the Saudi teams are going to be good, the Qatari teams are going to be good, the South American teams are always alright anyway, the MLS teams are going to be better. Like, that'd be more entertaining. They still don't bother us in Europe and in our leagues, apart from we're missing some players. And that makes that more entertaining, especially because they've expanded the Club World Cup to 32 teams. Football is for everyone, let's not forget.